Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, WWE Evolve features, of course, interesting matches. Now, one, we have a bit of a warm up match for Carlee Armstrong, where she faces Carlee Bright, who is the best friend of Kendall Gray, who is the number one competitor to face Carlee for the Women's Evolve Championship. So we'll see how that goes. But the main event is a number one contendership who will be facing Jackson Drake for the Evolve Championship in succession. Will it be Kiana Carver or Brooks Jensen? So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And then, of course, AEW Dynamite. As you probably know, a lot of things are taking place. The Death Riders, as you know, causing too much problem. We do have a mixed tag team match. Wheeler Yuta teams up with Marina Shafir. They get even with both Chris Statlander and Darby Allin. Then, of course, we have Tony Storm in action and plenty other things as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun to enjoy. But first, we're going to be reviewing two events from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. This is one I decided to review. The first one is from the Hyper Misao show that took place back in July. And this was a bit different, but I'll explain. It only has one match, in case anybody asks. And then, of course, we have the Yoshiko Hasegawa Graduation Nonfiction event that took place back in July. So that is something I definitely want to get over. And, of course, the bonus, no news updates for today. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world, pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get to it. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this is from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling back in June. Hyper Misao produced Hype 3 My Universe. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, Hyper Misao produced Hype 3 My Universe. This happened on the 17th of June at the Kitazawa Town Hall in Tokyo. Now, this was not your typical type of a wrestling show you would expect. Think of it as a like the theater performance, or the type you see. Remember, like the Matt Hardy's that he does with, of course, the Hardy compound, what they do. So they kind of had similar things like that going around. First, they had like some clips that they posted it where Hyper Misao was kidnapped and it's up to her friends to find her, that sort of thing. And of course, they had like these wacky storylines in the entire ring. Like there was a classroom and some wacky matches, but they were not officially matches. That's what it was when I first saw that. I was like, you know, I wonder if that's with the other ones too that I haven't seen yet. But basically, that's what it was. But they did had only one match, and this one features not only Hyper Misao, but also Yuki Aino. The match itself was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I often said myself that Yuki Aino should be taking the next step now to reach the top title, the Princess to Princess Championship, which I felt like this is a title that had eluded her. I mean, she has been tag team champion with her sister, who, as you all know, she retired not too long ago, about 2 years ago or so. But yes, and I feel that's what she's been doing. And I thought the match was great. But however, the match ended after what? A 15-minute time limit draw. And of course, during the post-match promo, both Aino and Hyper basically had some things to say to each other and all that. But it was a very interesting event. Not the best, but I have to say, a very interesting, unique event. And I'm not going to lie. I don't know where this stuff comes from, but that's exactly what happened. So, that's pretty much it right there. So, if I will be able to do another one like this, then yes. If you guys haven't seen it, go on Wrestle Universe and check it out. So, yes. So, I think that's pretty much it right now for this event. Let's move on to the next one, which is the Yoshiko Hasegawa Graduation. We continue with more with Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. This is the Yoshiko Hasegawa Graduation Nonfiction. This event happened on the 8th of July in Shinjuku Face. Now, this was her last and final appearance when she retired. She mentioned this months prior before this. She felt like she has already lived up to what she was doing. For those who don't know much about her background, she started wrestling in Ice Ribbon, or was it At Risk Girl, somewhere around there. But anyway, she took a year off, and then she returned and started wrestling in Ganbare Pro. But however, she left Ganbare Pro due to the fact that Ganbare were no longer under the under Cyber Fight, which is the company that owns Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, DDT, Noah, and maybe another promotion. I'm not sure, but yes. So basically, that was the reason she left. She went freelancing. She was appearing in other promotions, and then she went full time with Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. And since then, she's been, of course, doing this for about a year or so. And then now she retires. But that's going to be the main event because they have a very interesting tradition that they normally do when a wrestler retires in the Joshi Wrestling world. Let's start with the first match. We have Ivy Steels, Chika Nanaze, and Kira Summer. They take on Maki Ito, Ren Konatatsu, who is one of the newer girls, and then finally Mifu Ashita. Now, of course, many people would have assumed that Maki Ito would have picked up the win, but I never seen Chika Nanaze picked up the win at all, like in this matter. She applied like a dragon suplex hold, like basically in the middle of the air, something that I think Mayu Itani would do, and she did that onto who was it? Onto Konatsu, because she is the newest girl, and just like that, she just tapped out. Now, our next two matches are qualifying matches for the Tokyo Princess Cup that took place. First, we have Imawari versus Palm Harajuku. So these two ladies are fighting for the open spots in the Princess Cup. And of course, when it comes to Palm Harajuku, she would do her childish ways in order to get the win. But however, that did not happen because it was Imawari who picked up the win with the Boston Crab, and just like that, Palm had no choice but to tap. Then we have, of course, involving the qualifying match in the Tokyo Princess Cup, Kaya Toribami versus Moka Miyamoto. So another good match. I have to say I'm impressed with Kaya Toribami. I mean, I have seen how much she has grown, and not to mention she has improved her wrestling craft, throwing a little bit of the jumping acrobatic type of style, and I have to say it was very impressive. But however, she did not came out on top. It was Miyamoto that did when she applied the Kodokan, which is a swinging suplex neck breaker, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she took the spot. Now, our next match, we're no longer doing the qualifying matches anymore, so we're done with that. We have a three-way match. We have Shino Suzuki versus Mahiro Kiru, and of course, Raku. So the one thing you need to be aware of, do not fall asleep with Raku. But of course, we have Mahiro. Many of you may have seen her. She's a bit apologetic what she's about to do, you know. So she does that all the time. But in the end, it was Raku that picked up the win onto Shino Suzuki. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now our next match, we have Toga, Miyu Watanabe, and Rika Tatsumi. As you all know, Miyu and Rika are tag team partners. They face Yuki Aino, Hyper Misao, and Shoko Nakajima. Now remember, Hyper Misao and Shoko Nakajima are they were the tag team champions. I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, I was a bit biased on where it was going to go, but in the end, it was Shoko Nakajima that applied a Northern Light suplex onto Toga, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now our next match, we have Uda Takami, Wakana Uehara, Yuki Kamifuku, and Yuki Aino. They take on Haru Kazushiro, Arisu Endo, and Suzumi, better known as Daisy Monkey. And of course, joining them is the Princess Champion, Mizuki. So the match was pretty good, not gonna lie. I mean, the thing I do know is Wakana and Yuki Aino, Wakana and Yuki Kamifuku are teaming, and that's one of the things I have noticed about them. And of course, Arisa Endo and Suzumi are also teaming too. They basically are tag team, so kind of like a different type. But in the end, it was the cutie special by Mizuki onto Uda that allowed her to pick up the win. 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, we had, of course, Yoshiko Hasegawa involved in the main event. For those who don't know, the DDT Ironman Heavy Middleweight Championship is on the line. For those who are not familiarized with that title is kind of like the similarities with the Hardcore Championship, if you guys are back, remember the Attitude Era during WWE or WWF, however you remember, and of course the 24-hour belt. But this one is way more cooler and more fun to enjoy. Yoshiko had to face the entire roster that was involved in this event, so it was a pain in the butt. But however, let me pull out this on my phone because they had a bit of the result on the. Okay, so yeah. So basically what happened, we had Yoshiko defeating Tetsuya Koda. I think he's just a stop from the back. But apparently she lost the belt to Suzumi, but the person she lost it to is to Arisu Endo. So basically, no, to Shoko Nakajima. So she won that belt, but to record, she might have lost that belt somewhere. And of course, they did the usual ceremony of sending her off, you know, getting flowers, people coming. Not to mention, what's her name? Tsukasa Fujimoto from Ice Ribbon. She was there too. So many people came by to see her. So it's really happy to see that she was getting the send up that she deserves by people that knew her, who loved her, who stood by her, and that sort of thing. So it was a pretty good show, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I know I've seen better ones, but yes. So I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's move on with WWE Evolve. Okay, WWE Evolved. We opened up with a rematch, tag team match rematch. Adrenaline drips consistent of Cappuccino Jones and Jack Cartwheel taking on Jax Priestley and who's the other guy? Harley Riggins. Now, recently, these two men, Riggins and Presley, defeated Jones and Cartwheel in the match, but they asked for this rematch to happen, and they did. I mean, originally, Presley was not too, how to say, myth on the idea, but Riggins thought, hey, we beat them once, we can do it again, that sort of thing. So that was the whole point. However, they even played the ref and Adrenaline Drip by, of course, Priestley tried to fake his injury, but it backfired in some capacity because they thought they had this one planned out. But I have to say there was some great moments, especially one with Jack Cartwheel doing his insane flip, and I never saw that. But in the end, it was the combination of their new move called Flip and Sip on Priestley, and just like that, Jones picked up the win. 1, 2, 3. Adrenaline Drip picked up the match. Now, Chewy Martinez was talking to Tate Wilde. He is set to face his opponent, Edris Enofe, who's got in his face. But of course, as you know, Tate Wilde has to deal with Rich Holland, who's been nothing but a pain in his butt. And of course, he get a little words of wisdom from Sean Legacy, who, as you know, Sean Legacy is getting his footing back after a series of losses. But now, he has prepared for that match. Now, the Vanity Project, as you know, Jackson Drake is not too happy with Stevie Turner putting a number one contendership who's going to be facing. But he did not want the idea of having either Brooks Jensen or Kiana Carver as their opponents. But however, Stevie made that choice. But of course, as you know, Bryce Donovan has been mentioned too many times as the guy who screwed up on certain matches. But he swore he's going to take care of it in one way or the other. Now, then we see, of course, our next match, we have Edris Enofe versus Tate Wilde. As you know, Edris is trying to prove his point that he should be at the top, but he nearly tried to take care of it. He caused a distraction toward the ref. That way he can turn around and grab a chair and take out Tate Wilde. But luckily, of course, Sean Legacy showed up and took out the chair, but that gave enough distraction by Tate Wilde to take out Edris Enofe, and then he applied a moonsault that is called the Wild Ride, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, Layla Diggs, Mason Holiday were having a little chit chat, talking to Wendy Chu, as you know, talking about her hair, and Wendy just started talking, and then of course Nikita Lyons tried to act like she thinks she's all that was appearing. So that's what really happened right there. Now, Callie Armstrong, as you know, she'll be defending her Evolve Women's Championship against Kendall Gray. So she will be facing Kendall's best friend, our Carlee Bright. Now, there were some good moments where Carlee Bright almost could have had this match, but it only took 2 tries of the Callie connection to take her out completely. So you probably can guess how that's going to be. So that was a crazy match right there. Now, our main event, we have the number one contendership for the Evolve Championship, Brooks Jensen versus Kiana Carver. I have to say, these men went out balls to the walls to see who was going to be the lucky competitor to face Jackson Drake. But I had a feeling it was going to be Kiana Carver that might have did it. He applied that one move, I don't know what he called it, but that really set the tone. However, during the post-match, Bryce Donovan attacked Kiana Carver and then put the chair on his arm and stomping on him. In short, because this is what Bryce Donovan was supposed to do. Jackson Drake does not want to face Kiana Carver, but the real question was told, will they be alright? And this is one thing I know, Stevie Turner is not going to tolerate Vanity Project to ruin a good match that she has been working hard to set up. But of course, Jackson Drake doesn't care. He thinks that I'm the Evolve champion, you do what I say because we're in charge. But Stevie's not going to let that slide one way or the other. But the real question is, would Kiana Carver be ready or someone will step up? I mean, I would say it would be Brooks Jensen to step up or someone else. But we'll see what happens when we get to Ascension. But as of right now, we are done with Evolve. Let's move on with our last and final review. And to end this episode, AEW Dynamite. final review, AEW Dynamite. And this is, of course, celebrating 6 years since they first debuted. And what better way to celebrate? Now, we opened up with 6-man tag team action. We have the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander taking on Brodido, our current AEW World Tag Team Champions, Bandito and Brody King, and they team up with Kenny Omega. Now, as you know, Brodido has been now the prime target of the Don Callis family, who are determined to obtain the tag team belts. However, they decided to team up with Kenny. As you all know, it's also a target of the Don Callis family, especially that snake, Don himself. So it was a pretty good fun match, and there was a great moment where there was the Macarena going around, and then of course the Bucks did it, then Kenny and Bandito did it, but they tried to get Brodido to do it, but it was like, hell no. So it was a pretty good match, but in the end it was of course Kenny with the one-wing angel onto Josh Alexander, and just like that it was over. But however, as you all know, there's been some issues between both the Bucks and Kenny since they go way back, and then it became a beatdown. But out of nowhere, the Jurassic Express showed up. Now, Kenny, as you know, doesn't trust Jack Perry for obvious reasons. Don't forget, Jack Perry was a member of the Elite along with the Bucks and Okada. So, but however, of course, you know that the Jurassic Express are now in a war against, against the Bucks. Now, while all of that was happening, Kenny was doing a promo, but he was attacked by a mysterious masked man who turned out to be Andrade. Now, of course, people remember he was in fact in WWE, then left, then joined AEW, then left, then joined WWE back, and then now he's back. But later we're told that he has joined the Don Callis family. Yeah, so Don Callis, being a snake, is happy about it. So you probably can see that. Now, MJF put out a video promo talking about, of course, MJF saying, I warned you to keep my brother's name out of your mouth. And of course, he had to pay the consequences. But the one thing that Mark is a bit saddened is that he wished Hologram would have been there, because this was supposed to be his moment of shine. But however, his fellow friend and conglomerate, Orange Cassidy, is going to do it. So he said he can't wait to celebrate once he obtained that belt. And that's where we jump in. Orange Cassidy, being the #1 contender, faces against Kyle Fletcher. Now, of course, the match was going to be insane, but not to mention that idiot Don Callis was going to get involved. Of course, someone needs to put him down for good. But one thing that was crazy is when Don was trying to interfere, here comes Hologram at first. We didn't know we thought he was out, but he just showed up and then pushed Orange Cassidy out until, of course, Kyle Fletcher took him out. And then just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Fletcher retained the belt until, of course, there was a beatdown onto him, and then the conglomeration showed up. At first, people thought, what is Hologram doing? And it turned out to be, it wasn't Hologram, it was Clon. You know, Hologram's evil version of him. And of course, now Don Callis has gained 2 new members. They're basically, they took just half the roster or something, but yeah. So the real question is, now that Don Callis is gaining traction, apparently is who's going to be able to stop them. So that's going to be the bigger problem there. Now, we did see an interview with Mercedes Moné, as you know. At first, you know, Renee was trying to tell her, you should be, let's talk about, you know, the 6-year anniversary of Dynamite. Oh, yes, of course. So that's the whole thing. But, however, she has something she was mentioned, that she's going to put an open challenge against anybody for the TBS title belt. But apparently she was interrupted by Harley Cameron, someone from her past, but she didn't come alone. We had Minnie Monet showed up too. I thought it was the most funniest thing ever. Now, we did see the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Jon Moxley taking on Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs of the Ops, along with the AEW World Champion Hangman Page. As you know, this war between them has been going on for a while now, trying to teach them a lesson. But however, of course, you would have assumed that the Death Riders would have picked up the upper hand, because I'm sure Jon Moxley, his mind is currently on Darby Allin. But it was, of course, Hangman that picked up the win when he applied a buckshot lariat onto Mox, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. However, When it was over, Hangman was passing the belts back to Hobbs and Joe, but apparently Joe's belt just fell off of him, and that's what things got a little bit more heated between both Joe and Hangman. And of course, we did see interviews about these two. Most likely, we could see those two wrestle each other, and I'm sure Hangman would definitely put the AEW World Champion on the line at Wrestle Dream, so that most likely could happen. Now, we did see Ty Mello versus Toni Storm. This was something that, of course, she wanted to do, and it was going to happen. I have to say they did a pretty good job. Toni Storm, trying to pick up where she left off after losing the AEW World Title, but she was able to succeed by, of course, applying the Storm Zero, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. However, during the post-match, and she called out, of course, Chris Statlander to have a one-on-one match against her, of course, at Wrestle Dream. Now, we did see an interview from Chris Statlander responding about that. This was like before her match, her mixed tag match with Darby to take on Yuta and, of course, Marina Shafir. So, of course, she accepted the match, not gonna lie. Now, we did see, of course, the Gates of Agony in action taking on Swirl. You probably can tell that the Gates of Agony beat the crap out of Swirl one way or the other until they did somewhat of a double choke slam onto Blake Christian, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, Ricochet might have thought this whole thing between him and Hurt Sinkin might have been over, but however, MVP did stated that he blamed himself for the loss, saying that I apologize to both Lashley and Benton and Shelton and the fans for the loss. He said that he was a bit more stepped back, so he decided, why not have a no disqualification street fight? And of course, Ricochet had to accept it because he knows no matter what he does, no matter what he does, this thing between them is not going to go away. So apparently that was what we're going to see. Now, of course, Renee talked to Don Callis, as you know, happy as a clam about gaining 2 new members. But however, as I mentioned, they are now, the Brodido are now in their sights. They want to claim the AEW World Tag Team belts. But I don't know what Don Callis was thinking. He decided to pair both Okada and Takeshita in the same match. Now, Takeshita seems a bit more worried because, like, why? You know perfectly well that Okada is telling Takeshita, I'm the top dog, so you're at the bottom at the moment. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if things go wrong between them, so we'll see what happens. I think this would happen next week. So we'll see what just takes place. Now, our main event is the mixed tag team match. Darby Allin and Chris Statlander taking on Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir in the Death Riders. I thought this match was crazy, but the one thing that was insane is, if you guys saw that, Marina Shafir got her feet in the thumbtacks because she doesn't wear any shoes. That might have cost her, but in the end, there was a great moment where Wheeler Yuta tried to blind Darby, but in the end, but all of a sudden he accidentally blinded Marina, and then Marina accidentally choked Wheeler Yuta, thinking it was Darby, but it didn't do any good for him until, of course, Darby applied a coffin drop onto Wheeler Yuta, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, things went out of control when Toni Storm showed up, and of course, things between Statlander and Tony just went crazy. Until, of course, Pac showed up and attacked Darby Allin. And this was a direct message to Jon Moxley, because Jon Moxley is trying to figure out what is the best way to make Darby Allin. It's like he's looking at him like a cockroach that cannot be killed. And that's one of the things that he noticed. And he said he's going to make him say, I quit no matter what. Now, I want to pause here. I just recently been telling people about something that I want to think it's going to be interesting for Wrestle Dream next month, for later on this month. As you all know, last month, somewhere near the end of September, the announcement was made that Sting's son, Stephen Borden Jr., will make his pro wrestling debut this month. And I did tell this to several friends, and they kind of think maybe there is a possibility of this. I told them I would not be surprised if Stephen Borden Jr. decided to debut and help Darby Allin to take out Jon Moxley and the Death Riders in this match. Because, of course, wherever Jon Moxley goes, the Death Riders will be there. And I think that's something we could definitely see making its place. But we'll just have to wait and see until it happens. But as of right now, we are officially done with everything. And I said earlier, we don't have any news updates. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have Ring of Honor and TNA. So I haven't decided if there's any other events I want to do before then, but that's pretty much it what we have. So we'll leave things as it is and we'll move forward from there. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.